Good evening, everyone. We'll be starting right now. So last time when I, started the event, I started with wow, what an audience, and I don't know what to say right now because this is the biggest audience that we ever had on Spike, and it's really nice to see you everyone here. Last time we thought when we had around 350 registrations and around 200 people showing up, we thought that was the biggest we can do. At this time, we had close to 450 sign-ups, and I think over 200 people showing up today. So I'm really happy that you guys were able to make it. So without further ado, I think why we started, why we thought of doing this event, right? Specifically sales and partnerships. We understood most of our audience are coming from various different backgrounds. It's not just startups. They are working in startups, they are planning to start startups, they are from corporates, they are founders, a lot of different backgrounds. But what is the skill everyone needs to start anything or do anything? If you can sell yourself, you can grow. So with that idea, I think we chose this specific, the today's event topic. Before we go into the event specifically, I have a couple of announcements to make as well. So we just launched our startup community channel over WhatsApp, and if you guys can go to our Instagram, Spike Community, you can find it on the link in bio. And we'll be more active in our community channel going forward in order to kind of interact with you all, find out what are the other topics that we can talk about in future, and also just to interact with you all to see what are your thoughts and feedback on the sessions that we had as well. So it will help us a lot, and it's a good place for you to connect with Spike as well. So I hope you everyone join the Spike WhatsApp community channel as well moving forward. And with that, a very exciting news that we want to share is that specifically for startups who are starting out, we have actually officially partnered up with Huawei in Sri Lanka to give a lot of, or a couple of selected growing startups a great opportunity to kind of grow in a global context. This goes in both cloud services and strategy part, as well as kind of giving a platform for you to grow as well. So more about this partnership will be announced on our community channel on WhatsApp. So I invite you to kind of join in there as well. And another small announcement that I want to make on behalf of Spike is that as you see, Spike is growing. We are the biggest community that kind of is running in Sri Lanka for the, I would say, one of the oldest running startup events as well. And we want to keep doing this better and bigger. So we are also open for partnerships and sponsorships as well. So if there's any kind of, corporate, any entity, anyone who is interested in kind of helping out Spike to grow, please feel free to speak to Gant or myself or Sachin here about your interest, so we can see how we can help you and how you can help us as well. So with that, we'll take a start for today's event, Pitch Perfect, Sales and Partnerships for Startup Success. And I'll let Sachin introduce the first speaker for the night. Thank you.
Hi guys, you know who are going to speak today, right? So it's going to be Yasas, and it's going to be Sandun from Mastercard. So to introduce Yasas, he doesn't need an introduction, guys. So he's known to be a cyclist, and he's over there with the cycle as well. He came in with cycle. So he's known to be a cyclist, a top-notch salesperson, and also a sales trainer. So that's why we brought him here, because who else to bring for this event other than him? So he also has a lot of experience in banking and heading sales and strategy for banking, and also a wealth of experience in his other ventures like Spinner as well. So Yasas, over to you to take the stage and enlighten us with sales.
Hi guys, good evening. Cool. So my name is Yasas, for some of you who are meeting me for the first time. So I came by a bicycle. Sri Lanka generally spends about $450 million a month to import fuel. 80% of all my travel has been on a bike for the last 10 years. I don't think you'll believe it. Then the president, of course, got you to cycle. Now everybody's back on the cars, spending the dollars. So the startup community now will have to earn the bloody dollars now. Otherwise, we are a country that burns dollars at a rate. So every $1 we earn, $2 we burn. So right now we are burning dollars. So there is no chance in hell Muslim will come out of this. No chance unless we do some freaky magic. Our truth. So every minute you consume in this country, we consume pity, dollars. Life, dollars. Every bloody thing is a dollar. So the moment you know that, you can start changing small things. Maybe the 21st we might be able to change a big thing. But then I think that will still not change everything. Each one of us can do a little part and you'll be really sensible in the game we play, right? So that's just a thought. So why did I come here today? Hopefully to inspire you, give some thoughts, because you are the solution. Last week I cycled to Kurunegala. I had 380 entrepreneurs. After a cricket match on that previous night, they were all there, sharp at 9 o'clock, unbelievable crowd, who's building stuff, exporting, amazing things are happening. So there's a lot of hope. Today is a day of hope to see this. Who will thought in Colombo you'll have a crowd like this on a workday evening sitting and discussing something progressive, right? 7 o'clock the news will start and there'll be a whole lot of bullshit, right? And none of us are watching it, so that's a good thing. Okay friends, so what do? I wear this t-shirt because I'm building a range of sports tourism events for Sri Lanka. So Race the Pearl is one of that, you can see it on the website. 24 hours right from top to bottom of the country's idea and selling to the world. When I did it in 2019, there was one person, I did it with a couple of friends. Now it's the 7th edition, so we are gradually building that. 2018 was the peak of tourism for Sri Lanka. You remember, right? 2.3 million tourists. Imagine when it becomes 3 million. That's the potential. It will happen. Fingers crossed. We had 2,000 from around the world, filling every hotel, coming to cycle, swim and run in Colombo for Ironman. So it's a matter of connecting some dots. If you know what the dots are and if you can connect the dots. If I can connect some dots on a simple thing like a bicycle, you can connect a lot more dots with anything you touch. So if that's the plan today, we'll have a chat. My topic today is on sales. So when your mother tells you, Puta gilla ready tika ganna, what is that? It's reading or ready tika ganna. Is that selling or telling? It's telling. When you tell your colleague, Masam, I'm just running off for a thing called whatever, there's a guy on a bicycle speaking, I'm going to listen to the bugger. Masam, get the report done quickly. I'll check after I finish it. What is that? Selling or telling? Yapamba? That's still telling, Masam. He's telling bad? He's telling a low-level skill? No, telling is a good skill. Some people are afraid to tell. They'll be afraid to tell somebody, can you get this done for me? Can you please move a little bit? I need to park. A lot of people don't tell, and then they'll say I'm discriminated because it's not easy to tell much. You need a bit of confidence to tell. Especially to tell people who are senior to you, who's got power. So I know we just look down, when as salespeople, we look down on telling. He keeps, our favorite quote, right? Selling is not telling. So most mothers have got away with telling. And then they've got away from yelling. So they have superpower. So between all our life was our homes, Sri Lankan mothers, we've seen selling, telling and yelling. So then you come to the corporate world, you bring that background and you are sometimes unable to get things done because you don't have the tools. And we have a lifetime of seeing telling and yelling working. But it doesn't work because you don't have the power when you are 19 years old, working in a company, or you're a startup guy, you're just going to meet a client. You don't have power, right? You can't just get people, I'm getting half an hour late, wait for me, that's like kite. So hence, you got to really get your head around the subject of selling. So my cyclist center is called Spinner. So one side I do that, and the events, the other side I do coaching and training for corporates. I do a fair bit of that. Under the rain, a lot of people don't know. Other you can't ride bicycles that much and live in this country. So something has to pay the bills, bro, right? So I've come up with a little model, which is, people pay me for that. It's called Spin. I have a place called Spinner. That is a cycle place, but Spin is my communication tool. So S stands for selling, P stands for persuasion, I stands for influencing, N stands for negotiation. So when average guy is telling, if you are spinning at the right time, using the right tool at the right place, you might be able to get better results. Are you with me up to now? What's the tool? Spin. Super. So now we know what telling is. Why do I keep telling? If some people, you want things done, tell, Mother, can I get this done? Can I get a discount? Tell. So if I tell you, පුතාවා පාඩම් කරොත් දැන් බලන්න අර ගර්ල් NASA ගිහිල්ලා යා කොච්චර ලස්සනට ඉන්නවද යා දැන් කොහෙද මේ රේන්ජ් රෝවර් එකේ තමයි වැඩ කරන්නේ what පාඩම් කරන්න කියලා if your mother tells that what is that no that's not selling listen carefully but I'm running for a little event at Airport but get this proposal done tomorrow is a make or break. If we get that bloody proposal in, we are through. You are through, I am through, we are off to Arugam. Tonight I'll check the proposal. Send it. Got it? What is that? Persuasion. Persuasion. Ability to persuade people. Ask the question, who in your life is very persuasive? හොඳට දවල්ට කාලා ඉන්නකොට එකෙක් කියනවා මචං super brownie අතන නෑ බං කාලා I just had that come you bugger unbelievable and you machang up to here go and eat brownie with that bun you are about to go home everybody is waiting for dinner one bugger come on one more come you bugger there's a buy one unbelievable bites let's go and you are going behind that bun he is happy you are screwed so you are probably maybe you have siblings like that right So some people are very good at persuasion. It's not a trained skill, but they inherently have it. So get to figure that out. Using persuasive words, terminology, power words helps you to move things a little faster. It's a bit of begging, but a bit of persuasion. Are you with me on this one? Up to now, okay? Yeah. So how many of you are good persuaders? You normally get people who want to eat chicken, eat fish. Because you like fish. How many of you can do that? Very selfish buggers, but that's okay. I mean, that guy's happy, you know. You're not getting a vegetarian guy and doing that. How many of you are good at persuasion?
Persuasion by just words or by force?
That is coercion much. Yeah, we'll come to it. There are a lot of tools, manipulation, all that, right? So, blackmail, the 225 is very good at it. So, how many of you know someone who is very persuasive? Are you persuasive? No. Do you know anybody who is persuasive? Think about your network. That friend who gets things done. You know somebody? Yeah, so follow that. See, sometimes you might have the best product in the market. You might be mara motivated, but then if you can't persuade somebody to give an appointment, you are going to bleed cash at a point, right? Because you just can't persuade people. So Google persuasion. It's not a joke. You're going to spend an hour and a half studying the subject of persuasion. Other two skills are technical, influencing and negotiation and selling. Those are technical skills. But generally, discount you can't be an entrepreneur. If you can't get a beat, even McDonald's will say, McDonald's again, I mean, I just ask. Maybe in the evening they might give burger. So one of my friends once said, you're too long, I would burger in the park. Are you with me up to now? If I show my kid who is already a 50-meter swimmer, who's done okay in college level, I come from endurance. If I get on a bike now, in 18 hours, I'll be in Jaffna. So we have on a bicycle. We have endurance in our family. But this guy is all swimming short distance. Now I want him to get into long distance, but I don't want to push it. So I send him a video of a 800-meter swimmer Just have a look. I send him a little article. I take him and meet a bit of a long distance swimmer and say, have a chat. This uncle, he's used to do that. What's that? That's influence. Sometimes before I pitch my sales to you, I'll have to influence you for sometimes 3 months, sometimes 1 year. 1 year. Today I pitched to an electric car company a cycling event. Can you believe it? But that influencing has happened over 3 years maybe. Because influencing is like you're making the ground for the right time to plant the seed. If you go and sales pitch too early without influencing, some deals won't happen. Are you with me on this one? So good old days, if you want your mother to say yes to that thing you want to go, you're influencing about the friends are good friends. That's to start 6 months ahead. So they don't have so my small brother 7 p.m. now he's at CCC, right? So he's influenced me that things are okay. He has told me one friend smokes, so but I'm trying to. So I'm a little comfortable with it, right? So influencing you have to read the book The Influencer. When you see some guys get deals done and you say how is that? Because they are working on the nuts and bolts. Some places you need the screwdriver, some places you have to put WD-40 until the nut slowly removes. Then you can just one twist. Market conditions it will work. So now ask the question in your life, who are you telling? Who are you persuading? Who are you influencing? So 17 years in the banking industry. Because banks move at snail pace. By the way, banks don't move. They don't move. To get a bank to move. So my original plan was, I joined a bank called HSBC as a clerk. I had 2 goals to be the CEO of the bank and retired 40. CEO didn't happen, I left at 37. But to get things done in a bank, a lot of people hit their head on a wall and come back. They don't get it. These guys don't understand. Maybe not, but sometimes you have to start influencing at the pub, at the party. You're gradually getting them to see your point of view. And there will be a market moment. You pitch it. So do you understand the difference between telling, persuasion and influencing? So after a meeting in your office, if you clean the whiteboard every day, consciously, unconsciously somebody will be doing that. That's all influence. Correct, right? So you are anywhere influenced on somebody you don't know. So be a bit conscious about it, right? Be a bit conscious about it. People who watch me sometimes cycle. Yesterday I cycled over Kurunagala. 380 people saw me, and half of them came in the Monteros from Kurunagala to Kurunagala. And they just thought, hey, you could have walked. I said, no, you could have walked. I didn't tell you, they came and told me. So influencing doesn't mean to go and put it on people, they get it. Believe it. So we discussed about persuasion, influencing, and then I want to speak about negotiation. How many of you are good negotiators? Huh? Yeah, there you go. You have Mastercard there. Hey, by the way, I'm the first guy in the banking industry who put credit cards in people's pockets. We persuaded people to buy now and pay later. And people believed it. So negotiation. Can somebody show me how you did a recent negotiation? Can somebody share a story of how you negotiate? Can be at home also. Anyone wants to share? So I know you don't like this guy. I got to know Donald Trump long ago. The book is called Art of the Deal. You don't have to like him. He became the president? No. Now better learn something from that guy. Don't listen to his words. This guy is a deal maker, right? He'll make a deal with the devil. If it's Putin, he'll cut a deal. Some people are brilliant deal makers. They'll make deals out of nothing. So read the book. How did this bugger, who had no political background, Be it Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Beyonce, CNN, MSNBC, and all those bloody rubbish. And how did he show the middle finger to the rest of the political fraternity of the United States of America and became the president? How did he do that, man? And how is he now having every opponent that he ran against 1 month ago endorsing him, including Nikki Haley? Everyone who was against him, he's now endorsing him. But he's a deal maker. So read the book, Art of the Deal. Drop the MBA, read the book. So negotiation is, you heard this before, right? If you are tattooing something, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. I should have today told Spike, guys, if Mastercard is sponsoring, I am speaking free. You got to at least fund my charity. I could have done that. I didn't know Mastercard is speaking, so they have money. So I didn't know Mastercard is sponsoring. They have money. I didn't know that, but honestly, I would have had to deal with it. So 10 bikes for kids, right? I have a program. We are supporting kids. So if and then, if you clean the room, you could do the plan, spend the day with the plan. If and then, right? If and then. But the problem is, Masani, you and I sometimes don't know we have negotiables. We don't know what we have. If you don't know what you have with you to negotiate, you don't know what the negotiables are. So can you take a minute and think, what are your negotiables? Can I negotiate a lift with you tonight? I can't. Make a double gala and a damage. So that's not a negotiable. Are you with me on this one? So you got to know what your negotiables are in this room versus the other room, versus another room. It changes. If it rains right now and there's an umbrella, you have a negotiable. If you can, I can help you. Not that you tell the same words, but I get a deal when I see a deal. Okay? And can you drop me? Okay? And in the meantime, you say, Maza, can you also help me? I mean, deals happen. Because already you've given me something of value. So one day at the bank, I really was looking for somebody who understood negotiation. Because I want to give a sales team a one-on-one on negotiation. And you know what happened, right? We had a CEO called Iran Vikramaratne at NDB. And he's the guy who left the bank and became a politician. Mad bugger, right? So he's an out-of-the-box thinker. I, for some reason, was telling Iran, I really want some negotiation. He said, okay, I can help you. I said, how? He said, I was one of the negotiators Ranil Vikrama sent to negotiate with Prabhakar. I said, really? Yeah. So what happened? No, they sent me to Harvard on a negotiation course. Oh, cool. Then he said, I'll give you a nice book. And he gave me a knockout book, Maza. You got to read it. The book is called, will you read it if I give it? Will you honestly read it? Then I would admit. Will you read it? Yes. Okay. It's called Getting to Yes. Getting to Yes. You don't need 20 books in your life, but you use one, and that's good enough to turn the game. Just one. Getting to Yes. How to get to yes in a conversation? When somebody take a position, we want this part of the country, and this other guy says, no, we want the whole country, and you sit with a bugger with a grenade who is going to blast you and this. And your Nimal Siripal is sleeping. That's how we negotiate for 30 years of war. Okay? So at least these guys went to Harvard to learn how to negotiate. They can negotiate the future of the country. So imagine when you are going to negotiate your biggest deal, you have read a book about negotiation. Don't be unfair to you. All the hard work you've done, your product, your MVP, I am so and so, what a sad situation. Get the right tools to the battle. Don't take kid gloves to fight Mike Tyson, right? You got to take the right tools. So there'll be a day you will have to negotiate your guts out with a bank or a supplier or a creditor. Make or break. Make or break. At that moment, you're playing marbles, but you're gone. So read the stuff and get sharp. So, put a serious letter there. Right? So I want to share a tool with you. Telling is not selling, but don't stop telling. At least get you small things done. You get a bit of extra car park. You stop somebody jump in the queue. When you are in the queue for a long time, please tell nicely. Please don't do that. I was in the queue. Please tell. Persuasion is one step ahead of that. Influencing is you're already doing in your life. Consciously do it where you want people to change their thinking because you plan to meet them 1 month, 2 months, 3 months down the line. Selling, finally, my friends. Can somebody sell me something? And you close. The walk from there to here is 20 meters. This is called opportunity. You'll be in a picture. The next billionaires of this country will get to know you. You want a booking? You want a cookie? From? Are you selling me something? You asked me whether I want a cookie. That's a good one. Okay? Repeat, sorry, now I get the drift. Sorry, Maza. So go ahead. So do you want a cookie? Are we selling or telling? I mean, he's on the first step of selling. You can't sell if you don't understand your customer. So selling has to always start by asking a question. At least understanding the customer. So if it was 8 o'clock in the night, you can assume I'm hungry. General, right? So selling can't be done by just jabbering, right? You have to understand. So another question you could ask is, Yasas, are you in the mood for a cookie? Yasas, are you hungry? Yasas, have you had something to eat before you came to speak? Correct? All those questions will help him understand that I am in the mood for something to eat. Am I right? But looking at my background, I came in a bicycle. You would have done a little bit of thinking and profiled me. This guy might be sugar-free. Totally not. I eat my biscuit pudding. But you might have a bit of a sales requires you to be very conscious of your surroundings. A lot of people think selling is talking. It's not. It's about understanding the background, understanding the customer. It always starts with the customer. So when your son comes home, a mother should say, Panagaran, tell him. How was school? Sales starts. How's the maths class? You are selling. What did you like about maths? You are starting to sell. And then if you give a solution, I found a lovely book that you might enjoy. Now you are giving a solution because you understood your kids' feelings, requirements. That's the difference between telling and selling. Is that cool? Super. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Yasas. I hope you guys also have got some tips about sales and will start selling your startup or ideas right now itself. So next up is the partnership talk. And for that, we have someone who has excelled in partnership from a company that works with a lot of partnerships. And so his company probably has presence in your wallet. His company is like a leader in payment cards. It's none other than Mastercard. It's Sandun from Mastercard. He's the country manager for Sri Lanka and Maldives for Mastercard. Sandun, over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Okay, it's great to see that we have so many people representing the startup community. Unlike Yasas, I've been driven here. We are the original startup and the fintech in the world. So when Gayantha called me to have this conversation. By the way, Gayantha's and my partnership goes for about 25 years back. We used to have a small organization where we went and we told people not to have a drink, right? But we are doing exactly the opposite now. Anyway, thanks Gayantha for inviting me. I was thinking I was planning to speak on 4 areas. But before that, since Yasas spoke about buy now, pay later, who knows about the history of credit cards, where they started? All of you have cards, right? Credit cards, debit cards. Yeah? No? Yes? Okay, so we all have cards. That's okay. You can have Mastercard or any other brand which is probably giving less benefit. Yeah. So credit cards, actually this whole concept started in 1956. So there was this gentleman in New York called Frank McNamara. I'll take 2 minutes to explain this, but I thought it's important. So Frank McNamara, he went to one of the steakhouses in New York and had probably a nice meal in 1956. And then after the meal, he realized that he's forgotten his wallet. So he doesn't have any way to pay. And a legend says he called his wife or something, and then she came and settled the bill. But then it was an embarrassing situation. So he went back, he spoke to his business partner, and then they started this small organization called Diners Club. If you have heard about Diners Cards. So they started this small club called Diners Club. They said, we will partner with restaurants. You take our membership. So they issued this small paper card with a number. So you can go to any of the restaurants, eat courtesy of Diners Club, and then you can settle us later. And that became Diners Club. They issued a card subsequently, and then some banks in California, as usual, they realized some company called Diners Club, they are getting into our business, so we also should do something. So they got together, some California-based banks. So they formed some organization called Interbank Association, and that became Mastercard subsequently. So that's a bit of a history about how the cards business started. Coming back to my topic on partnerships, I thought I'll speak on 4 areas. First one is if you're representing a large corporate, what you should look at when you're looking at partnerships with startups. Second one is what large corporates are looking at if you're startups or whenever they want to partner with somebody, what they're looking at. Third one, if you are a startup, what you should do when you are looking for partnerships. Fourth one, I'll be talking about a couple of partnerships and some use cases from some of the people in the audience. And then when I realized there's very less amount of people representing large corporates, so I'll completely avoid the topic number 1, giving advices to large corporates, which is probably not required anyways. So I'll start with the topic number 2. So if you're approaching, or rather, if there is a large corporate that you approach for a partnership, what they would look at is something that they might not tell you straight away, right? Large corporates, to start with, large corporates are really, really hungry for innovation. So they look out for innovation pulses, because large corporates generally, they have their own way of doing things. They have own research arms. People there being there for a long, long time. So they don't get innovation pulses from outside. So they are looking for more collaborations to get innovation pulses to expand their capabilities or capacity that they can, go into different areas. So innovation pulses and expanding capabilities is a key thing the corporates are looking at. Quick go-to-market. So as Yasas said, banks or any other large corporates, they have their own process of doing things, and they are extremely, extremely slow. When it comes to bigger organizations, they become slower. It could be a technology-based institution, right? Tech institution, but still they can't have the agility that you guys have. So if they want to go to market fast, and something that they would not tell is they are always looking at their competitors, and if they want to keep up with the competitors, they want to go to market fast with whatever they do, and they always look out for other partners that you can have, or other smaller entities that they can partner with or they can acquire and go to market fast. So go to market fast is something that large corporates are always looking at. Number 3 is reach. So be it banks, be it large tech corporations, all of them, they find it really, really difficult to have the last mile reach. So they always look for partners to have that B2C products to be sold. So to have the reach, they always look for partners, and that's something that they might not tell you always, or they would admit. So that's something that they really look forward to. Fourth one is the learning. So larger the organization, they have a specific way of learning, and they have a HR department which assigns them certain learnings. So they have to wait until HR assigns program to go through the learning curve, etc. But people involved in technology, they really look out to talk to startups, fintechs, startups especially, to have learning about modern technology, new business processes, etc. And mind you, there is less room for technology itself to be innovated. But you use technology, existing technology, to innovate business processes. And that is where the innovation is. Do you understand the difference? 99% of the time, it is we are using extensive technology and re-engineer the business process to come up with the innovation instead of inventing the technology itself, right? So large corporates always look out for partnerships with startups like you to have that learning so they can adapt immediately into their business. So those are the things that large corporates are looking at. And when it comes to mergers and acquisitions, they are looking at new areas of business, of course. So if you're a large corporate, like if you are selling Malu bunnies, you will not immediately look at selling Bolt Anna, but you will gradually move into different diversified areas. I'll discuss that later as well. Also, cultural fit. If you are especially looking at global expansion, talking to global entities, they will definitely look at cultural fit. When I say cultural fit, it's not your race or where you're coming from or anything like that. As a smaller startup, how your internal culture will fit into the large corporate culture. That's what they're looking at. And finally, now the conversation is all about ESG and sustainability. So they look at your processes, your product itself, how sustainable, and it actually checks to their ESG goals, because whoever you speak to, they have to go to their own board and present whenever you want to do a M&A, right? So one of the questions that will come on the board, which is a KPI of the board, would be how sustainable this organization is. So think about it if you are talking to a large corporate. So moving into my second area of the conversation, which is probably the most important area for you. Whenever you have a conversation with a large corporate for a partnership, what you should do and what you should not do. Sometimes this might sound a little harsh, but this is the reality, right? So when you pitch something, don't reach to corporates for partnerships, if you think that your product or solution is completely relevant to them. I have so many people approaching me for certain partnerships that is not relevant to my business. And that's a waste of time of the startup, and that's a waste of time of us as well. So if you think if you're in their shoes and if you're not going to buy the solution, or if you're not going to partner with your own company, then don't go and sell that product to them, or rather try to partner with them, right? So don't pitch anything that you would not agree to buy. Then, as a startup, it's always important to have an elevator pitch ready, because the opportunities that you have, you never know when it will come. And whenever you have that opportunity, you need to grab it, and you have to have an elevator pitch ready. Absolutely important. I've seen many people coming here. I was just observing you sitting here. How many of you did networking today before we started the session? Many of you were seated. We saw some of the people talking to each other, but it's very important to do networking. I have so many friends doing startups. I've seen them in events. They never network. So it's very important that you have a set of business cards or your digital cards and go and approach people and set your timer for the elevator pitch 45 seconds. If you can do your elevator pitch within 45 seconds, and if you can exchange the business card also within that 45 seconds, you're good. And that's not enough. You should definitely go back to your office or work from home, wherever that you do work, and do a follow-up. You have to send a one-liner to the person that you met and just did the elevator pitch to say, hi, it was nice to meet you, so-and-so, attach a little bit of a profile of your company and do a follow-up. It's super, super important, because then you create a top-of-the-mind recall with that particular person, because ultimately we have to agree that we are all, through its large corporates versus startups, but we are talking to humans, right? We're talking to people. So whenever there is a need, they will always remember you. They will always have that top of the mind recall to say that, this particular person, I remember that person spoke to me about a solution that they have. So I think I should talk to them and partner. Also, when you go for a meeting, it's super important that you do a background research of that particular person. If you are doing a pitch to a CEO who's non-technical, don't talk technology, talk about the business. If you are doing a pitch or rather a partnership proposal to a technical person, talk on technology more, because that's what excites him. So it's very, very important. How many of you are reading the LinkedIn profiles of the people those who are meeting? Yeah, fantastic. We have few hands. But if you don't have that habit, at least the LinkedIn profile. There are so many other ways to get information. Networking, call people, you can find their Instagram, you know how many mutual friends you have, call the mutual friend and see what kind of a person that you're meeting, get a little bit of pulses before you have the meeting, and that will really, really help you to crack that particular partnership that you're going to forge. Then, when you have the conversation for the partnership, show the scale, but don't tell them the scale. Okay, let me explain this. So there are people approaching us sometimes, and I've had many conversations, people telling me that without us, Mastercard will never grow. People have told me this, right? And large corporates would not care that, right? That's why I said I'm being brutally honest in some of the points. So what you have to do instead is to show your potential to grow. And especially when you're talking about a partnership, show them that you can grow not only in the domestic market, but also globally. Show them with whatever the product that you're partnering with or the potential that you're partnering with, instead of telling them that, we will grow, we will outgrow you at one day. You will outgrow the corporate that you're talking to one day, but don't tell them that, because again, you're talking to people and sometimes egos, come into play, which is a practical aspect, right? Again, then talking about the approach. There are different ways that you can approach a corporate when you are looking at partnerships. The one way to do that is to have a top-down approach. So sometimes I met people, even in Sri Lanka, writing to my global CEO, him writing to my division president, and him writing to me to meet a startup in Sri Lanka. So I am obliged to accommodate that. I accommodate those calls as well. We've forged certain partnerships like that as well. However, there are other formal ways that you can also approach. But my recommendation to you is, if you're looking at a partnership with a large corporate, look at their startup accelerator, look at whether they have a startup accelerator program. And trust me, many large corporates do. And if you can apply to one of the accelerator programs, the benefit that you can get there is that you can leverage some of the networks that they have, and also some of the benefits that they extend, including some of the discounts that you can get in terms of hosting, whatever, right? So approach is very, very important. So there is no one model that you can do. So think about your own way when you approach a corporate, what fits them. Then don't go and pitch the entire company. When you look at a partnership, look at the corporate that you're partnering with and pitch what is relevant to them. So many conversations that we have, sometimes it goes all over. We have A product, we have B product, we also have C product as well. What do you think about the D product? Where do you think that we can partner with you, etc.? Instead, focus
on a product or two that you want to partner with, and if you can do a POC, proof of concept with the corporate, try doing that. Try doing that, prove yourself, show the potential, make sure that you collaborate with the large corporate to an extent that large corporate would not be able to proceed with the business without you for that particular vertical, and then slowly expand your business to other business verticals. I'm not sure whether you guys are getting, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. This is a very, static set of phases that we have, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. So that's that. And the other one, whenever you do a partnership with the corporate, and especially if you have a potential to grow with that corporate to other segments, right? And if you think that you're just starting the relationship or the partnership with the corporate, let the corporate take the lead. Again, because you're working with human beings and you have egos in play. So let the corporate take the leadership. Necessarily these are not things that I do, okay? I'm just telling you with experiences that I have in my life. So whenever you have a partnership and launch something with the corporate, let them take the lead instead of you taking the lead in terms of doing the PR, etc. Because your target is to be more successful and to have more partnerships, collaborations, and to grow your business, while somebody in the large corporates, their job, or rather their motive would be to get a next promotion or something like that, right? So think of that aspect, let them be champion, you focus on growing your business, okay? Right, so that's my third topic. Before I come into the use cases in Sri Lanka, do we have any questions? Yes, please. So that's a very, very good question. So government engagement is, even for large corporates, a super important aspect. Also the question is, be it a startup or a large corporate, how do you engage with the government, right? Right. So I think I will talk about that with an example of what we did. So I look after Sri Lanka and Maldives, both markets. In 2017, when I first stepped into Maldives market, our market share was around 1% or rather 2%, less than 2%. Today we are the market leader. And in 2017, I started this conversation with the government called Maldives Digital Strategy, and we kind of was trying to convince the government to say, you need to implement open loop transit in Maldives to facilitate, because Maldives you have scattered nature, so there are a lot of speedboats and ferries, and now they have buses also connected with the connected islands. So we were pushing the government to do open loop transit. So we've been trying for 2 years to convince them on the need of having open loop transit. We spent 2 years to create the need, right? And then once they understood the need, they said, we would love to do this, but we don't have one, technology. Number two, we don't have expertise to do this. So what we did was, we said, because that's our area of business, we said, it's okay, we will implement it for you, and then you can take it and run. So if you're a startup, you can do the similar approach. But the important aspect is building the relationships. So there are two aspects that you can look at. One is to look at areas where you can, now if you're a startup, it's very difficult to have a separate public policy person, right? So you are the own public policy person within your organization. So if you're a CEO or the co-founder or a founder, you become your own government engagement or the public policy person. So you have to have yourself assigned KPI to have engagements with the respective governments. And you have to list down who are the sponsors for your line of business within the government. And then you keep on engaging. And then once you do those engagements, you have to participate in some of the events like we did DigiCon a couple of months back. So those kind of things, when you participate, you naturally crack the opportunities. And trust me, government business is a huge area that's growing in the startup ecosystems around the world. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? Okay, so I'll move into, because of the interest of time, I'll move into a couple of use cases that we have done in Sri Lanka. So the first use case is a buy now pay later system. Do we have Mint Pay? No, we don't have. Okay, so Mint Pay. So I want to talk about leveraging technology. So I'll talk about two use cases. One is Mint Pay, one is Hyperblade. We have Hyperblade calendar here. So Mint Pay is from Raj and Urmila, if you know them. And they started the business. They pitched to many people, and they were struggling to convince a party to, trust the whole idea. And Mastercard was the first entity which believed in the whole idea of BNPL product that they had. And I still remember this conversation about 5-6 years back. And then we had a discussion and we told them, go ahead and do this. And after for about a year, I get a call on a Saturday from Urmila. I was like, Sandun, we are gonna stop the business because nobody is giving us a payment gateway because banks don't understand, as Yasas said. Banks don't understand what you're planning to do. So nobody's willing to give a payment gateway to us. So I was like, where are you guys? At home. So they come to my place. So they came to, I live in Mount Lavinia, so they came to Mount Lavinia, to my place on a Saturday. We had a discussion in terms of what we need to do, a couple of business items, but also to solve their immediate problem of getting some credit as well as payment gateway. I told them, let me speak to a bank. Then I called Ceylon Bank. I had a very good friend who's heading Ceylon Bank payment gateway. I told Sami, I need to implement this. Take my word, go ahead and implement. And then they went ahead and implemented it. And today, I'm very happy to say MintPay has grown outside Sri Lanka also, and they are doing really, really well. Same with Hyperblade, again, a good example of sharing technology. We've been working a lot in terms of how they can leverage Mastercard technology, and that created certain platform for Hyperblade to go to certain markets like Indonesia, Singapore, and talk about their products, and that resulted in certain investments in the company as well. So this is one of the examples that I wanted to talk in terms of sharing technology and the partnership. The other one is I want to talk about direct pay. We have Kanishka here. So direct pay is an example of two things. Again, sharing technology, also selling together. Sharing technology is where we've kind of enabled direct pay with multiple Mastercard technologies that we have, which we extended, so they don't have to kind of keep on re-innovating certain technology aspects. So they can use existing capabilities and go to market fast. Today, I am very, very happy to say that direct pay has grown by 1,000 times, 1,000 times than the number that we had during our first conversation. They have gone more than 1,000 times, and that's a very, very good thing. And what we also done is certain products, like as an example, we pitched a product together to National Savings Bank, which they implemented, and we believed in the product, and bank said we don't have an investment, and Mastercard went ahead and invested on the product for the development cost. And today, the product is expanded to postal networks as well. So today, anybody who has an NSB account can tokenize their account with NSB Pay directly and get a virtual card. This is very different to getting typical virtual cards. This is called Pay by Account. And now NSB has extended that technology to postal departments as well. Especially in rural areas, you can walk into a postal department and get an account open, and they open an account with NSB, and you can immediately tokenize your account with your mobile phone. So that's another example where we can co-sell certain solutions, be it a large corporate or a startup, together to a potential customer and get the large corporate to co-invest on your solution. Then I also want to talk about payable. One of our KPIs, Mastercard, is, of course, we sell cards, we do digital, etc. A lot of people think we are a card company. We are a technology company. 50% of our revenue comes outside the cards business. So expanding technology is also a huge KPI that we have. And as a part of that, expanding acceptance network also is a part that we have, because unless you grow the acceptance network, you can't really grow the payments business, right? So what we've done was we've invested on certain technologies from our side, and we've gotten payable to go ahead and introduce that to the market. So one of the best examples would be SoftPOS. So that's a product that we co-invested with payable. And today with payable, if you're a small merchant and if you have an Android phone which has a contactless capability, you don't have to get a POS machine from a bank. You can register with payable and convert your mobile phone to a contactless card acceptance device, right? So that capability. So that's one of the examples. Then large corporates, connecting with large corporates. So I want to talk about two examples. What we did with Dialog. So Mastercard and Dialog got together. We have a very, very long relationship. And I'm very proud to say that Mastercard has been an instrumental partner for Dialog's digital journey. So we've been part of Dialog's Genie business for a long time with their technology, backend payment gateway, etc. But also we've been very, very instrumental in terms of launching Dialog Finance and also Dialog Finance debit card, all that. So that's another example where even if you are two large corporates, there's room for collaboration and doing something together to the betterment of the country. So the last example I wanted to talk about is what Mastercard has recently signed with Sri Lankan Airlines. So that's another corporate partnership that we have signed. It's a very different partnership to typical partnerships that we signed. So what we did was we've been having conversations with Sri Lankan Airlines for quite some time, and then we realized they need support in terms of building their security and third-party vulnerability assessment systems. We also realized that Sri Lankan Airlines needs more data, insights in terms of the tourists coming to Sri Lanka and how they can optimize their revenue. And also we realized that they have to really relaunch their co-branding proposition. So what we did was we internally invested money on certain products that we have that can really match the requirements that Sri Lankan Airlines had. And in return, Sri Lankan Airlines agreed to give us benefits for the next 3 years for all the customers, those who are using a Mastercard to book with Sri Lankan Airlines. Time to time, you will see certain benefits. So those are some of the examples for large corporate to corporate benefits as well. So I think with that, I have a few other things to talk, but with that, I think I'll stop and I'll leave room for questions and we'll go to the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Sandun. I think it was a very, very insightful session for all of us on how partnerships work well for businesses. And for startups, it can work really, really well to scale up our businesses. So Sandun and Yasas both, I would like if you guys join us for a Q&A session.
When building partnerships, when selling, people usually leave the human element out. At the end of the day, it's human doing business with human. They try to be robotic when they're selling. So how important is being human in selling and building partnerships?
Answer that is an example again. I spoke about Maldives market. I would like to give another example from the Maldives market. As I said, when I first walked into Maldives market in 2017, we had less than 2% market share. And I did a bit of research in terms of how the Maldives market is handled by the payment networks. I don't have competition, to be honest. I consider cash as my competition because
Sri Lanka market is 95% cash and 5% digital. So I don't have a direct competition, my competition is cash. But other people, those who are fighting for that 5%, I just did a bit of a research including my predecessors, what they've been doing. So what they do is, there are very convenient flights to Maldives. So you can leave Sri Lanka at 7 o'clock, reach Maldives at 8:30. If you have like 2-3 customers to meet, you can have those meetings, and there is a flight at 9 o'clock in the night, and you can come back. And that's what they have been doing. And I decided I'll do exactly the opposite. So what I did was, Maldives is not a bad destination to go and hang around also. So I decided I'm gonna stay wherever I go for a week. So I have meetings for the first 2-3 days, and then we build the relationships, and I tell them, you guys now decide what you want to do. So they take me on fishing trips. You have to leave at 3 o'clock in the morning to do a fishing trip. They take me into uninhabited islands to spend a night. Group of people, not single person. Things like that. But trust me, my first card was launched in the middle of the sea while we were doing a fishing trip. My payment gateway deals were signed in an uninhabited island. Many things that we have finalized in Maldives was done outside the business premises because of the relationships that you build. So to answer the question, I think it's very, very important that you build that. And sometimes also, your product can be the most expensive product. I have done sales. My product, customers have called me and they've put the offer that I have given against offer from some other party and say, your product is twice the cost of the other product, what should I do? I was like, sign my product. And then we've cracked so many businesses like that. So it's very, very important that you build a relationship because you never know when it will pay off.
Yes, I totally agree. But don't lose the eye on adding value. Sri Lanka is famous for alcohol and cholesterol relationships. And then playing under the table. To be honest, right? That is a very rare company. If you want to do business in this region, you have to expect people will be straightforward. So most of the deals that happened in this country, you saw the VFSD which got taken off by the Supreme Court on fundamental rights. And we did a deal on the largest system for Sri Lanka for tourism without a procurement process. Right? Luckily it's back. So I want to be very open, right? We have a problem in this country because of relying all the deals on relationships. So that's what I want to put on the table. Said that, I totally agree with everything he said there, by the way. But said that, a lot of my beliefs right now are people who are excited. You see my WhatsApp today, a lot of people who connect with me have a common interest. So that's one. But you have to rigorously spend time to add value to your customer. The best relationship is by adding value. That requires some things I pitch. I can't pitch to them, I still haven't found how do I add value to you. So I have nothing to pitch. I'll still excite with you. Or I'll sit with you, but I can't. We had a chat long ago. Both of us spent a long time to connect cycling and cars. I know he was working on it. I was working on it. But I'm still need to figure this out. As he correctly said, we explore. But it's still not right. It's a matter of time. So value is 4 things. Either have to help him make money, either have to help him save money, either have to help him to reduce his risk, or I have to help him to get convenience. Those are the only 4 bloody things, and you can give a head massage. Tell me if there's any other way I can make him add value to his business by my product. Make money, save money, reduce risk, convenience. That's it. 2 more soft things. Look good, feel good. Because I'm with Mastercard, my events will good, yeah. But it doesn't. He also said, Yasas, I sent a mail out to whole of India. And then, Masa, if you send the whole of India, only 1% mothers can ride a bike from top to bottom. You do me a favor, but you're not adding value, I'm not adding value. So, relationship in a personal life means, right now, my wife is overseas. I am adding value to her life by giving her time off. And that requires me to do a lot of things.
So this whole thing for value is what it is all about. So even if I want to get personal relationship, yeah. If I help your kid get a better school teacher for maths because I got to know why got in the deal that your son is going for maths class, that's value adding. Taking Bhagavan Yokmazam on and entertaining until all of the AMA worker on Mastercard and whatever. Companies are famous, all that is bribes. So so ethics very hard. Lot of deals happen based on overloading, hampers. So you get my point, right? So to stay straight and do business is really hard. I want to get my point on this one, right? But sometimes I never wish for their birthdays or anything. But because I've added so much value, the first time I'm meeting or her, 10 years down the line, I can still have a child. Though I haven't wished him, don't do that. But at that point, you added great value. So that's good enough for you to encash that check 10 years down the line. Some of the banking deposits I've made are encashed in that for bicycle events. So with somebody, heart and soul, genuinely at value. That's all I'm saying.
Hi, this question is for the Sandun. So, as a person, as a startup who tries to enter into the fintech market, for someone like me, because as you mentioned many use cases in Pay, Dialog, etc. So I was the lead designer for the Genie when I was used to work at Dialog. So, as someone who tries to enter the fintech market, what is your best advice for a person like me? I doesn't have any banking background, but somehow I was able to design the Genie application. So I asked for my sister. She used to work at Central Bank, so she sent me many documents like hundreds of pages. So how do you manage? How do you handle the government if you are entering into the fintech market as a startup? What is your best advice?
Any startup for that matter, not only fintechs, but any startup for that matter, first look at what are you trying to solve. Unless you are trying to solve a real world problem, or unless there is a gap that you are going to solve, it's very difficult if you have existing players already in the market. Like as an example, we have Dhanushka Taylor who leads partnerships for Mastercard. So what I always tell him is when you get into partnerships or when you get into a promotion conversation, we get so many offers, by the way, from different merchants. So they approach us and say, can you promote us? And we will give you 10% off, 50% off. And when we get into a partnership with these merchants, what we generally look at is forget about fintech, forget about my banking background and technology background. As a general consumer, what would I prefer to have? So if you have as an individual, as a general consumer, if you are willing to buy whatever the product that you are trying to sell, then go. But if you as a general consumer will not consider the product that you are going to sell, and if it doesn't add value, as I said, to your life or to your partner, or if it doesn't add any benefit, incremental benefit to the productivity that you have, then I think that should be something that you are looking at. That's number one. Number two, many fintechs that I speak to in Sri Lanka, by the way, this is not bad, whatever I'm about to say. Many fintechs in Sri Lanka, whenever they launch the product, they are very content with the revenue that they are getting, and they are very focused on having Sri Lanka market as their focus market, which is not a bad thing to do. But I think if you are especially looking at the partnerships, you really look at how you can exponentially grow your business into other areas, or at least you have to show the potential. Regional fintech applications is like pretty much available, especially in India. If you look at quick commerce applications, regional quick commerce applications are actually giving a good run to large corporates like Swiggy in India. However, their economies of scale is enough for them to be sustained in that particular region, and they can become
a large corporate just by serving to that particular region. But in Sri Lanka, if you have a startup, or especially a fintech, unless you have that growth plan, it's very difficult to convince somebody. And I'll give you with some statistics. Talk about payable and all. Like in Sri Lanka, we have 20 million debit cards. 20 million debit cards for a population of 22 million. Average debit card is being used only 6 times a year. Will you believe? Okay. Tough to believe, right? 6 times a year. We have 120,000 POS machines in Sri Lanka. Point of sale machine, POS machines are that. And when you walk into a supermarket, you see so many point of sale machine cards and POS machine cards because you pay with your card. But average POS does only 5 transactions a day in Sri Lanka. Now let's say you are a startup who's focused on acceptance business and you are getting investors to come and invest in your company as a startup or a fintech. And if you're only accepting 5 transactions a day, how can you show the growth potential? So you have to really decide these aspects before you even start your fintech. We have 28 fintech applications in the country, Sri Lanka, and just to give you a statistics, we have 350,000 Lanka QR codes in the country today. We witness about 300,000 transactions for an entire quarter, right? So you have to understand your economies of scale, and unless you show that growth potential to grow, it will be very difficult to have partners. I mean, just my 2 cents. But I hope that answers.
So you spoke about selling, not telling, right? When you were speaking about that, there was this one teaching that came into my head that you see all over articles, or even if you watch a YouTube tutorial saying that sales is directly proportional to your visibility. Would you essentially say that's true? Like you can grow well in sales if you have a good visibility in your startup or any other company. Would you essentially say that's true, or is that like a myth?
If you look at sales and marketing, marketing is the subject that addresses the subject of visibility, attention, interest, and you pull. So I can find you on LinkedIn. You might not have seen me before, and I can network myself to you. And there's a saying, anybody in this world is only 6 people away. So if you want to get to Donald Trump today, you can do it in this room. If you want to get to Elon Musk, I think it's just 3 people now. 2 people. 3 people. You know somebody knows that guy, and the guy will be out to Elon Musk. So the beauty of selling is you can actually carve your way through as a sniper. That's the beauty of selling. What marketing does is it gives you segments, awareness, large numbers, the stuff that we said about visibility, growth. So that's the momentum part, right? So you don't, or my point is you don't. You can tonight decide, this guy in this world I want to preach. And you write down a post-it note and put it, and you start the networking game. You have Mastercard. So I'm sure Mastercard has an office somewhere, and then obviously get you to that company. Yeah. It's true. You get a point, right? So you don't need visibility. You don't need visibility. Honestly, sometimes good to be under the radar if you're cutting big deals. So those days when we see some competitors walking into the... So I was the first product manager for Dialog mobile wallet, okay? And we used to watch which bank is sleeping with Dialog. Every time a CIO goes, deal that down. So sometimes it will be under the radar, right? So that's the beauty of selling. So no need, why do it?
Donald Trump's my first targets.
That makes sense.
So there's a word came out called elevator pitch. So if we are doing an elevator pitch, we have like 45 seconds to 1 minute. So what are the key elements we need to bring up if we are to do an elevator pitch in that sort of a very small time?
Have you heard that before? So you meet people for like 30 seconds at supermarkets, lifts, weddings, funerals, and that's where magic happens. So if you count the number of people you can do appointments and meet versus if you walk around in this room, we call it the 3-foot radius, right? And that's, if you move your 3-foot radius around this room, you can shake hands of people. Makes sense, right? So that's why you're here tonight, okay? So yeah, so that's the 30-second, 45 seconds elevator pitch. I mean, not that all deals happen in that like that way, but if you're able to, which comes from baseball, you know that, right? To pitch, like bowling. No, is that the cricket match that you know? This looks like a different Sri Lanka. I'm so happy. We have hope, man. Fantastic. So first thing, you have to get attention. That's the truth. That's the first thing you say, right, to somebody. So then obviously within that sandwich, we call it a sandwich, you got to put the problem that you might be solving. But the problem with the pitch is I really don't know your pain point. I just met you today. So you have to be really good at profiling, like an FBI agent. So if you see somebody having two-tone color, you need to notice it. He's either a beach boy, a cyclist, or a Hindu. If you don't read stuff like that, you can't pitch. In this room, there's a guy walking around in shorts, here. You saw that fellow. He can put like $100 million. He's still there. Barnaka was around. So, so to pitch, you have to profile. So it's like who are the best people to profile? FBI, right? So somebody in this room has a bulge in their pocket. You should notice it. It's either the phone or it's a gun. Any moment that creates a problem here, you are also dead. You remember the tattoo party? So you have to be really good at profiling. Read the book called Prepare. You can't just, yes, sales is not much of an artificial thing, it's a way of life. I should be able to read people and then talk to them like human. Just because you pitch like a boss, people are not dumb enough to buy that fact. Yeah, here's a check. You have to get who is a student, who looks like a tech guy. You know, you have to profile and then you get to know. So profile somebody, get attention, try to make the problem you are solving so simple. And then of course, if you close that, one more thing we do is we try to put a data. You remember what he said? How many of you remember the data he gave you? How many debit cards in the country? How many members? Can you believe it? You might not remember. None of the things he said. You remember 20 million debit cards. Average transactions are 6. Remember, average Sri Lankan 6 for 11 hours like this a day, and 25% has diabetes. Now you remember that the next time you say? So try to put the data. That they remember you from that data, and when you call after 1 year, 2 years, 3 months, 1 week, I know you're the one who told about that, right? We call it for the inquisitive data. It's bothering me now when I go home. When I swipe the debit card, I don't know it. You think of a seat, you're thinking, Yasas Hewage, 11 hours I sit and I might get diabetes. So the data is also, I'm not giving you a copybook free, I'm giving you the ingredients you can put there. Internet has enough things, but is that really?
Yeah, fully agree. I think two aspects from me is that one is, as you said, you should give one particular point that interests them, gets their attention. And if you try to tell so many things, we do A, B, C, D, E, F, that guy will forget. And the literal meaning of elevator pitch is a pitch that you do in an elevator. You get on the ground floor, you go to the 20th floor, and by that time you should, make the pitch. You should have one hook that will of interest to that particular person. So you must be doing multiple things, and you have to understand the profile of that person to give that one insight. So it's very important that you decide that one aspect that you will leave with that person, so he will remember you. The other one is you create a hook. So whenever you create a hook, whenever they want something related to what you said, that person will remember you. So I think those are the two aspects that you really need to understand. But my advice to you is, if you can get a business card within that 45 seconds, then you win. Because then you can immediately do a follow-up. Go back to your seat, go back to your laptop. If not, use your mobile, immediately do the follow-up. And faster the mail that you can send, more impressive that you will be. right? So you meet somebody before that person walks into their workstation, whatever the corporate guy. If you send a quick email to say, it was nice meeting you, this is what we discussed, would like to get a follow-up meeting or whatever, that will be ideal. So one thing, make one interesting point, create a hook and try to get a business done.
And Macha, if you are really hustling, select the right elevator. I'm not joking. Alright? I was a bank of Macha, right? You want to meet the right guy, Macha, you should know which elevator. So World Trade Center, there's a East Tower and a West Tower. And if you want to meet somebody, if you have the right lift, you will meet you. Never get an appointment. You want to meet Donald Trump? Get to Big Apple, get to Trump Tower. There's a bus stand there, bus stand, you wait. He will come down that elevator at Southwark. And that 30 seconds is what you get. Some of these guys will never get appointments. So, actually, literally, the word elevator, it means something.
I mean, absolutely. Like, I've been working for banks for 15, 16 years before I joined Mastercard. And if you're representing a corporate, I'm sure we have people from corporate world as well who are working for banks or telcos or whatever. Sometimes you don't get a FaceTime with your CEO. You don't get a FaceTime with your CEO. And the elevator, literal meaning of the elevator pitch is the only time that you get some FaceTime with the CEO. You strategically plan to meet the CEO in the elevator and do the same thing, create a hook. And trust me, these large corporates do something called calibration. So all your profiles, when your profile as like a high performance guy, it goes into something called a calibration or whatever the bell curves or whatever we call it, and then it reaches the senior management. And when it reaches the senior management, now that senior management person knows that I've spoken to this guy, right? And that will be really, really helpful for you to have that little bit of a corporate sponsorship. If you are belonging to corporate and do not wish to get into the startup world, and you still wish to remain in the corporate world, still the elevator pitch matter when it comes to personal life. I have done that many times.
Because Bhanuga. So Bhanuga, yes, if you could do the elevator pitch response, if you could come in, if you don't mind.
Everyone, it's super nice to see so many people up here. I remember with Kanta when Spike was like 3 people and like a glass of water. No, it's a good thing, it's progress. Definitely more than 6 transactions happening. Okay, so I represent a couple of different businesses, and I figured this elevator pitch is going to form the conversation. I'll give a few. Some of these have worked really well for us. And I'll start with you, considering most of you guys are startups. We run a business called Rooster. Rooster is essentially it's a technology company that is focused on HR. Every time we meet a founder or a startup that's looking at doing anything with talent, which is 99% of the audience, we go ahead and have a very simple elevator. We go ahead and say, hey, our company's Rooster. We help businesses hire, manage, and retain great talent at a fraction of the cost of whatever you're paying. And it takes care of everything from payroll to time tracking. We'll take care of any of your onboarding costs. It'll be free for the first year. Come and forward. Has worked really well for us. Today we have 50,000 employees in our payroll system, and we're doing a whole bunch of cool stuff. Hopefully soon additional things for Mastercard, but we'll leave that for another day. It works really well. And we obviously change the pitch that we have every time we speak to the audience. That pitch works very well for a founder or a business that's actually using this. I see some of our customers in the audience. But every time we talk to an investor, it's a completely different equation. Every person needs an HR software at some point. We tell people, hey, our software, the market typically prices $7 per employee per month. We do it at 1. The cost, the unit economics for us is 20 cents a user. Everything else is a spread. And then the investors are able to figure out what is the actual market potential without you having to kind of put it out there, right? They understand that in Sri Lanka there's 20 million people, 5 million people with a working population that's probably relevant to the audience, but the minute you say, hey, this also works in Indonesia, in the Philippines, in Myanmar, completely change dynamic and they understand it themselves. We represent an agriculture business called Scattered Harvest. We're currently talking to investors. We've managed to secure about $5 billion at a $25 million valuation with virtually zero revenue. The elevator is very straightforward. Sri Lanka is 3.5 hours away from 3.5 billion people. We have a history of agriculture, great soil, great climate, and it's essentially that we are positioned to grow. Unfortunately, we lose almost all of our value chain. In that manufacturing area, how do we do the last mile value creation and essentially bring them along that journey? My day job, I represent an organization called Surge. Surge is a digital consultant firm that connects organizations with best-in-class talent across marketing, technology, and design. The reason we say that is we understand there's a very immediate requirement that the organization has. We say design at the very end because usually our engagements begin with design, and we can quickly turn that into that first little engagement which becomes a bigger and bigger engagement. But at the end of the day, you should have, I would even argue that you should have more than one elevator pitch, depending on who you're speaking to, depending on the context that you're speaking to. If I talk to you guys here, it wouldn't be about any of these businesses, it would mostly be about personal investments that we make, representing a fund or something like that. I think it's really important to figure out what it is that you're trying to communicate in the context where you are. So whoever is your audience has one call to action that they take and walk away with it, and you should completely go after it. Yasas is an incredible sales guy. We are relentless on the follow-up. If you guys, we do this thing at Surge where every time we have an opportunity, we are working on a proposal, the number of times or rather the median number of times we follow up on a lead that we think is important to us, with 0 responses is what normal people do is 1 or 2. For us, it's 11. The average conversion rate after the 10th follow-up jumps insanely high, but no one does it. It's enough of you, when you're thinking about sales, you look at it as a conversion funnel. You try to move it from one step to the next step to the next step, and eventually you realize that window of opportunity expands. But yeah, those are a couple of elevator pitches. Hope they help.
0.5 billion. Can you do a hand for that? And for that. Let's try again. Sri Lanka, Holland, Putu Cafe. Just because you have the product, it takes that type of thinking to carve that two-liner out. That two-liner, man. That's unbelievable. I don't know what to use it for, but I love it. Amazing. Can I tell you a story? He said from leads, contact prospects leads, right? 0 response lead, they tried 11 times. I still remember a guy once sold to me, who was a corporate salesperson of an insurance company. At the bank, I was buying insurance to protect a loan scheme that I was starting. All banks came, good looking guys, good spelling girls, Okumara. The old Babu came, and long chat he learned that I am a reader, and he gave me a book. And the book is called Pushing the Envelope by Harvey Mackey. Okay? It's about a sales guy. So he has a lovely story. Harvey Mackey is hiring salespeople. And his last question from salesperson is, how long will you follow up on a client before you give up? Based on that question, he decides to hire this person because he's hiring his protege. I will take the company and the envelope company. So people are saying, I'll try X, I'll try Y. At that time, the US average number was 6 times. You guys are double of that, right? So one guy said, what is the leading question? He said, so how many times do you follow up on a client before you give up? He was confused. Okay, but that depends on who dies first.
Yeah, I just want to add that to the beautiful data point on 11 times on a zero response lead. So you can see data is like toothpaste. He sticks in you and you remember him for that day. And he might not know you have given a gift to you, but he calls someday and said, I'm so and so, oh, he's so, you're a billionaire, he's a billionaire, right? And I remember I thought you were there. And I remember he's the guy who gave me the 3.5 billion. And that might be the reason you might take the 4 now. Because sometimes gift giving happens without us knowing, and a great one is data. Data is a great gift. So take the data you got today, tomorrow give it to a potential client and they'll say, anyway. Click point, the biggest deal we closed was Diamond Triathlon in Sri Lanka in 2018. I don't know whether you're familiar with it. We are working in 3 ministries. I'm not worried about the government. The government doesn't get it. Not the ministers, the bureaucrats on top, they have no growth agenda. So you can't expect them to move, by experience. So I have to either make them look good. The other one we are not willing to do. The other one we are not willing to do. I'm not alone, I'm with 2 more partners who are also whiter than white on dealings. But we took this idea around hotels of Kerala. Some thought Ironman was a movie. I mean, some of these guys were living like tunnels, right? These are guys, Shangri-La was just coming up. The building is half done. We are still not sure whether they will come on board. So the tougher deal was showing the Colombo hotels. We are going to fill Colombo. Every room, do you want this deal? It's just that when your paradigm, your thinking is so narrow, you are so used to good morning, thank you, look at the buffet, here's our nice little, bed tent. It's so hard. So the deal was finally come on a bicycle ride with the head of sales of Shangri-La, an Aquamarine Drive, and a mother bringing this. Do you know Ironman? He said, I know Ironman, Philippines. So I want him to be our host for today. And he said, let's talk business. So that deal brought 2,000 foreigners from 63 countries. They spent $3 million in 1 week. Hotel that was half built took the deal when all the hotels of Colombo could have got it. So sad that I couldn't cut that deal. I would have loved the Sri Lankan brand to have been the title sponsor. But basically, Shangri-La's first entry of the banquet book is our entry. So they took it and did it. So, I mean, some deals are like that. And by the way, we didn't sign a single document. It was a handshake deal. If you ask me of all the things that has happened, I'm not a big multi-billion-dollar deal maker. That was a big one for the country. We brought the largest post-tourism event from the Shangri-La to the Madela guy. They defeated from those cyclists and the families who came to see that. But then again, I met Shangri-La 10 years ago in NBB in Hambantota, and I exactly knew their vision for the country. I knew they were willing to play big. A lot of people didn't know that they were playing big. Because a lot of people asking, will you finish the hotel? When is Shangri-La coming? But you're not sure, that's still building. So sometimes you have to see things before others see. Because now, no one in Kerala will believe in a group of people like this are sitting here this time. They don't see this, so they don't get it. So if you ever see things, Mazan, you can't act on it. It's called paradigm. So I hope I answered your question. So, but once again, relationship goes back to 10 years ago. In a Polvatta, Shangri-La, keeping the $1, I was there. So I knew they were going to invest in this country big time, regardless of who's in power. Others did not know the right time to make a deal. So that's just the answer.
This question is for the Yasas. Yeah. As Sandun mentioned there are 28 different fintech applications and 20 million debit cards and only 6 transactions per day. If you are someone who's trying to enter and trying to do a fintech application or whatever, would you still hold into it, or would you give up? Would you still hold into it, or would you give up?
So assume that you are a Zen master in technology. I assume. Just like I can ride a bicycle, you can write code, then you can build UI, UX and build tech, correct? Yeah. Otherwise the discussion doesn't work. Then if you ask me, I'll tell you secret. I work with few banks. A bank last week put their number one goal, not profitability, not balance sheet, but transactions. This country is yet to crack the transaction code. So if you ask me, the few otherwise you won't be here. They would have an IFM office, they won't have a CEO at this level. So country is yet to digital. I'm on the road from an IC. Banks have done, can I use the word, jack shit. When I did the first mobile wallet, that was 94, it was called Easy Pay. They became Easy Cash. Dialogue is also playing Pandu Mas. QR code buggers don't know what the hell they're doing. The best QR code in Greece for petrol. So all these buggers are home at 5 o'clock, their employees know. It has to be cracked by a hungry entrepreneur. But you might have to select a marker. You might have to take a call that I will go to. I was in Kurunagal, right? Kurunagal is about to take. Why? The highway moment Kandy connects. Abekus is over. Yasas Hewage is over. We love that. You will be stopping for breakfast in Kurunagal. So you have to pick a marker and start making the case work. Because none of these banks will go as 5% price to the Kadeh Mudarami. Because the cost of represent is much on weekly. And he can't go because he's too big. He's looking for, he had that check money. He's looking for hungry buggers to live there. Convert Kadeh by Kadeh. Like I convert a cyclist by cyclist. I mean, it's not a Kalamburi cycle now. I started cycling alone. So you have to be the hustling guy. You've got to be on ground. We can't get an ERP to these guys. Huddle. But tell me, they want to grow. But you got to get out of this mindset, get to ground, be there, and convert your market, your little cohort, so that you can bring that and maybe get that funding and the like-minded network to do it. You ask me whether transactions go way there. Sri Lanka is yet to. We told you the number. Yet to. And mark my word, dialogue won't solve this problem, that would be. That would be. Banks won't solve this problem, that would be. It has to be solved by one of you, like a pygmy. Then they said, can a Taisho guy use a mobile phone? They converted the group, system. So you put up unlearn the behind-us. Don't get to trend stuff. Get to ground the basic product and start doing it. If you have to sell others' products, sell others' products and acquire a customer. Acquire a Kadeh. Remember, Kadeh is being raped. One day, I was a soft post guy. One day, I was a find her, somebody there live with, and then go. I'm just giving ideas. You take one marker, rest you grow kilo marker, Ethan. Mama bicycle I want to pay by phone. Can't do it. You don't want to carry cash, so I don't carry a wallet. I just carry this one. I don't want to make the brand. They have a it's inconvenient. So we got to crack it. He is ready to support, but he doesn't have bundles to grind on the ground. Am I right, sir? Absolutely. So market is untapped. So don't give up.
Actually, I just looked at the crowd and realized that there's absolutely no way I can network with every single one of you here by the end of the day, right? So this is just an elevator pitch of me saying who I am. Some of you might already know me. I think Diane has known me for like a couple of years now. So I'm Hashtag I make TikTok for fun. I'm into education technology. So basically what I do is I help students ace exams. Exams include GCSEs, A-levels and stuff like that. So if anybody of you are part of large corporates that have an education arm and would like to partner with me, I have actually converted 80% of Sri Lankan medical students to use my platform within just 1 month. So there's a data for you. This is my take-home lesson from today. So thank you so much for doing that.
So guys, that brings us to the end of the event. So thank you very much Yasas and Sandun for accepting our invitation and coming here. So we have some gifts for you as well. It's sponsored by an upcoming startup itself called Chong Cookies.
Thank you so much.
Yasas has
How much is that?
So Red Velvet 700, we have the good chocolate that is 850. We ran out of stock for pistachios, so that's one of the biggest sellers. So pistachios goes for 900, and normal chocolate chip is there for 700 as well. We are bringing in a new flavor, so that's more related to sneakers, the chocolate flavor. So we are getting some peanuts from Rinoche and bringing it down here to test out and then launch it out there. So
again, and it was a really insightful session for all of us here. I think they'll really appreciate it, and you'll get to know in the networking session as well. So stick around to network. You might make partnerships. You might have people selling to you, right? So that's always good. So that being said, guys, I want to do another quick reminder on the photos and the video. There are some really insightful, really nice snippets that you might have taken. Please do post them and tag us, tag the Sky community so the word goes out. So also I want to remind you that Barefoot, who's been our location partner for more than 10 years. So that being said, I also want to thank Mastercard for their sponsorship today for us. And also we have our videos being sponsored by another company that is none other than AdPod. So AdPod is a advertising platform. So how amazing is that? It's a Sri Lankan company, I believe, who the representative of AdPod is here. If you can, yeah. So he's not here. He's there somewhere. So if you can see him, he's there behind the screen. Yeah. So AdPod is a platform for cryptocurrency. You can talk to him and get to know how it works, the exact way. So this brings to the closing remarks. Thank you very much, Barefoot, for letting us do this once again. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.